The work that is in the Real Art Roadshow is a work from, I think, 1988 or 89 called Across the Water, which shows my hand and my partner's hand clasped in front of a painting. And what I was talking about there, or what I was wanting to show there, was it was a very sentimental photograph, really, and it was kind of working with that idea of sentimentality and sort of like kind of mementos and cards and Victorian era kind of love tokens, and it was the idea of the parting hands, and it's very obvious, and there's a seascape in the background, so it's about the idea of distance and people being parted, and that has carried through to some extent in my later work from time to time. What I've found over the years, because I've been probably practicing as an artist for 25 years, I guess, exhibiting around 25 years, and threads kind of come and go and weave in and out of my work, and so I've got a few different things that appear and disappear in my work, and that's one of them. This is actually a photograph that's the same size as Across the Water and framed in the same way, leaning against the wall just behind me, ready to leave the house. In fact, it was going to an art auction. So this is part of a large work that I'm going to be showing early in 2009, and it's going to comprise drawings, pastel drawings, watercolours and photographs, and the idea is that it's a big composite work, although the individual components will work on their own, but it's about, in a way, it's about living with artworks. It's about meditating on artworks in your own home and in public spaces. So there are my representations of other people's artworks, my representations in other media of my own photographs, the photographs themselves, and then still lifes, little still life arrangements of, they might be sculptures or they might be just things that are around the house. So it's that combination of the domestic and the public and art within both of those areas. And this, for example, is it's a candlestick made by the artist Richard Orgis, and it's one of a pair, and they're called art therapy candlesticks. So as you can see, not demonstrating it very well, it'd be awful to drop it. As you can see, they're very funny. They've got a nicely made little base and a nicely made top, and then the middle bit's been just completely crushed and scrunched and had some stress relieved on it, I suppose. So there's a diptych of those. I've always, even though probably people do think of me as a photographer, I've always worked in the area of constructing things for the camera and very much controlling what I put in front of the camera and what I choose to photograph. So I'm not a photographer who goes out and really interacts in a very public way with what happens to be in front of me. I do that from time to time if something expresses a particular thing that I'm interested in, but more probably I would construct something, or I would find something and photograph it. And the way I use photography is it's like to display something or to show something and to ask the viewer to pay particular attention to it. So when I'm not constructing things specifically for the camera, as I did probably in the late 80s and early 90s, I'm selecting things and photographing them in a particular way that pays them attention and demands that they're paid attention that might not be otherwise paid to them, or they might not be taken out of the private realm. For example, the notes, the little love note works. So in some ways, going into drawing and painting is the same sort of thing. It's just another way of representing the things that I want to look at and I want people to look at closely. In some ways what I'm doing is I'm subjecting these things I'm looking at to a number of different media, I suppose, and my original thought was just to do each thing once, but then I thought, oh well, I'll do a version of that in another way, and then I kind of thought that one didn't cancel out the other and maybe one informed the other.